and welcome back to my kitchen. So today I thought I would do a sort of Nando style chicken, and here you can see I've got a full chicken. This is just a medium size. I couldn't find any baby chickens, which I would have actually preferred to use, but this is just what they had at the Tesco I go to. I've given it all a wash. I've trimmed off any excess skin, like the skin that was around the neck and near the cavity, because I want it to be like as crispy as possible. I don't want it just to be soggy skin when I eat it, because it's going to be roasted. And before I get started on seasoning the chicken, I've added some butter to a bowl, and I'm going to crush 3 garlic cloves into it, just using a garlic mincer. So I've minced my garlic cloves. There were just 3 medium-sized cloves, and I'm going to melt the butter now. Yep, just in the microwave, just until it's melted. So my butter and garlic mixture has been melted, and I'm just going to drizzle it on both sides of my chicken, making sure I include some of that fresh garlic. I am also going to include a little dried garlic in this, and just spread that on. I just really wanted this to be the first coat, just to baste the chicken a little bit before I add the rest of my spices. And let's just, it's slippy now. Let's just turn that over, and we're going to do the same to the other side. It's going to look like a lot of garlic and spices by the end, but remember, you are marinating a full chicken here, so you do want there to be plenty of flavour in there. And just add the rest in. It doesn't matter if the butter cools down and starts to go solid. At the end of the day, it is going to go into the oven. But yeah, this is just going to give it a really nice initial coating. And make sure you try to get all of it, including the little crevices in between and the wings. Next, we're going to add plenty of salt and pepper on each side. Remember, it is a full chicken, so you really do want to go liberal with it. I'm not too interested about rubbing it in so far, because at the end of the day I've still got a few more spices and little bits and bats to add. So, plenty of it. I don't really measure when I add this all, but you can try. It's just, I do it by eye. And I'm going to add a teaspoon of oregano. This is really difficult doing with one hand. Maybe even less than a teaspoon. I don't want it to taste really herby, but I do want a slight bit of oregano in there. So it's starting to stick to the bowl a bit, but that's fine. So some oregano. Next, I'm going to add a little bit of crushed chilli. This is optional. I'm just trying to use up what I have in my fridge, but I'll also be adding some spicy paprika. I'm not going to add too much, because at the end of the day at Nando's you choose how spicy you want your chicken to be, so it's entirely up to you. I'm going to add some dried garlic granules, not too much, because remember there is a bit of fresh on there, but I'm just going to keep it to that much. Next, I'm just going to add a little bit of spicy paprika. I'm not going to add too much of this because I don't know quite how spicy it is yet. I haven't tried it before. And for the last dry spice, I'm going to add plenty of sweet paprika. So what I tend to do, I just sprinkle plenty on either side so I have an idea. Again, I don't really measure, but let's say that's a teaspoon. But you really do want plenty of it on there. And let's see if I can turn this over without making a huge mess. So at the end of the day, you need to season both sides. Plenty of it. I've lost count of how many teaspoons. I'll try to run it back and count, but you have an idea. You really, really do want plenty of it on here though. And now I'm going to add the wet spices. So let's start with the juice of 1 lemon. You can pick out the seeds afterwards. Just get plenty of that lemon in there. I did add half an extra lemon, and squeezing those lemons reminded me that I have a lot of paper cuts that I forgot about. So now we're just going to drizzle on some olive oil. This will help you spread those spices on, in addition to giving it a really nice flavour and colour in the oven. So drizzle it on both sides. And finally we're going to rub all the spices into the chicken, making sure to waste as little as possible. And spread all that olive oil and lemon around. Get all those crevices. I mean, look at the colour. I think that looks really good to me. If you want, you could add bird's eye chilies, peri peri chilies. It's up to you. I just didn't have those on hand, so obviously I couldn't really add them. There's going to be plenty of spices at the bottom of the bowl too. Make sure you pick that up and coat it back on. And get all those wings. When you've coated your chicken and it's looking something like this, you can transfer it to your roasting dish. I've added a little splash of olive oil. And I'm just going to try to neatly tuck that into there. If any spices are left at the bottom of your bowl, you can always add it back to your chicken or baste it later on as it's cooking. Because at the end of the day, you want to try to waste as little as possible. So I'm just going to coat some of it back on. I don't want it to be massively heavy, so I think this looks good. And I'm not going to put mine in the oven for another hour. You don't have to marinate this particular recipe, although I'm just leaving it because I'm not quite ready to eat anytime soon. I almost forgot, I'm also going to drizzle a little extra olive oil on the top as well, just to really help it colour nicely in the oven. I'm now ready to roast my chicken, so I'm just going to pop that into the centre of a preheated oven, which has been preheated to about 200 degrees Celsius, and I'm going to let it roast for about an hour. From time to time, I take the chicken out of the oven and I just give it a baste with the natural juices that has accumulated at the bottom of the pan. And this just helps it really stay moist and flavourful. And if at any point it looks like it's browning too fast, just put some aluminium foil on top. That's what I've done. And this will be ready to go back into the oven. At this point, I'm quite sure my chicken is cooked through. I checked it by just gently piercing the thickest part of the leg, which does take the longest to cook, and the juices are running clear. And as you can see, the legs have slightly relaxed a little bit compared to when they went into the oven. So now I'm just going to leave the chicken to rest a little bit. I'm going to cover it up with the foil and leave it for a good 20 to 30 minutes. This will help the chicken stay really juicy. And if there is any of that which is slightly undone, it'll just help cook that through with the natural heat from the chicken. And our Nando's feast is done. So at the end, I just gave the chicken a last basting just to make it really nice and shiny. I steamed some corn on the cob, I sautéed some kale, and I made some homemade wedges in the oven. So I hope you enjoyed the recipe. It's probably a lot cheaper than going out to a Nando's anyway. I love this recipe, I hope you would too. If you enjoy the content, please do leave a like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, and I'm hoping to upload regularly. So yeah, please do show your support. Thanks for watching again. Bye.